I'm gonna call to order the July meeting of the Kingston Public Library Board of Trustees at 6:03. In attendance, we have a full board. We're actually gonna do roll call attendance too, because we're gonna have to vote this way when we vote on the minutes, meaning that the people who are able to vote, we have two sets of minutes. Only some of us can vote on the April and only some of us can vote on the June due to attendance and whether or not we are part of the board. So as each comes up, we're gonna vote on them and you're just gonna have to say your name and say aye or yay or nay. So for attendance, I'm gonna have us move around the room just to say who's here. So if you would like to start.
Andrew Costa,
Matthew Donahue,
Emily Bruce, Jen Quackenbush,
Emily Curtin. And
Lee Lewis virtually.
Donald Cologne, Library Director.
Thank you. So the first thing on the agenda is board reorganization, and usually we do this right after the elections, but we've had some issues where we had some of the board in attendance and some were unable to make it. So this is the first time that we're able to do this. There are 3 positions that are on the board. It's the head of the Board of Trustees, secretary, and treasurer. Our treasurer this past term was Carolyn Bromwich, and she has stepped off the board, and Jen Quackenbush and I served in the last term as well. But usually what happens is Donald will take over the meeting, and then he will ask for people to nominate candidates for head of the board, and then we will vote. And then whoever is voted through will then take back running the meeting and move through the rest of the board. So Donald, you're on.
Okay, yes, the power is mine. Okay, so I would accept a motion to accept a candidate to be the chair of the Kingston Board of Library Trustees.
so just say, I make a motion that Emily Curtin is the chair of the library, the trustees.
I'll second.
Okay, and all in favor, if you can go around and do roll call.
Andrew Costa, aye.
Matt Donahue, aye.
Emily Bruce, aye. Jen Quackenbush, aye.
Emily Curtin, aye.
Lee,
And online. All right, and then the next position would be secretary. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to nominate Jen Quackenbush as secretary of the Board of Trustees.
Second.
Okay, and in favor?
Andrew Costa, vote aye.
Matt Donahue, aye.
Emily Bruce, aye.
Emily Curtin, aye.
Jen Quackenbush, aye.
Lee Lewis, aye.
Okay, and the last position that I'll entertain a motion for candidate is for treasurer. Okay,
Second.
okay, roll call vote.
Andrew Costa, aye.
Matt Donahue, aye.
Aye. Jen Quackenbush, aye.
Emily Curtin,
Lee Lewis, aye.
Okay, all 3 nominations were voted upon and were all unanimous. So congratulations to those 3 candidates in their positions. I look forward to working with you.
There couldn't be more fighting. No one even threw a pie.
Would have been welcome to.
I'd like to make a fool of myself on social media about this. Good evening. I'll throw some bombs.
Thank you, Donald. May
Yes, you may.
I? The next item on the agenda is the minutes approval. So this is a little bit different than how we would usually do it, only because of the different attendance that we had. We're going to look at the April minutes first, and Lee, myself, Matt, and Jen can all vote on those April minutes, which is a quorum, because all of us were either in attendance or watched the meeting and transcribed the minutes. So is there anyone who would like to edit or change those April minutes as they went out, or I'll accept a motion for minutes to be put through as is? You want to make a motion to accept them as is?
Sure. I make a motion to accept the minutes for the meeting on April 30th, 2025.
Second?
Can I do it even though I wrote them?
Yes.
I second that motion.
There
All
are
right,
too
so-
many of us who can. I have no power here.
I was gonna say, so just because you were not technically on the board then you sit this vote out. So the four of us who are voting, we need to do that same roll call vote. So Matt, would you like to start?
Jen Quackenbush, I.
Emily Curtin, aye.
Lee Lewis, I.
Right, so we're accepting those April minutes as is, and then for
We
the
have to
June,
register an abstention or that.
because you technically you weren't even on the board in April.
Oh,
because-
Yeah, we didn't exist.
For the June minutes, so this will be voted on by Lee, Andrew, Jen, and myself, because we were in attendance on that meeting, correct, and nor was Matt. So is there anyone who would like to put forth any edits or changes to those June minutes?
Curious.
Yes.
We also.
Yes, you can abstain from this, which you would be due by default anyway, since you weren't in attendance. So when we go around, we can include you in this vote. Yeah, not seeing any edits, I'll take a motion to accept as is the June minutes.
Second.
Oh, do you want to make the motion?
No, I'll make the motion to accept the minutes for June.
Fantastic,
Second that.
great. So we're gonna go around now and do the official vote.
Andrew Fauska, aye.
Matt Donahue, abstain.
Emily Bruce abstain.
Jen Quackenbush, I.
Emily Curtin, aye.
Lee Lewis, I.
So then we can also put through the June minutes as is approved. So Donald, you'll have copies of both the April and the June official minutes from me this evening. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the teen librarian vacancy.
Yes, so I met with the Human Resources Director last week. We reworked some of the job description, leaving it at the same grade and classification. It was posted as of last Thursday on the town's website, as well as Indeed, the Massachusetts Municipal Association website, and I also posted it to the MBLC. All the applications will go through the Human Resources Department, and once they get several of them, they will send them along to me for review. The teen librarian Kat, August 1st will be her last day, so we do have a little bit more time with her. And basically, after that, we'll have a couple more weeks of summer reading, which Ms. Hawley has, will be working to cover the programming that had been scheduled. Because with payouts from vacation time, it wouldn't be a situation where we could hire somebody immediately and they could start immediately, because the way the budget is designed, we have to do payouts for the any unused vacation time. So with a couple of weeks, it will be just that, a couple of weeks out.
Thank you, and I did see the posting. Indeed.
Do you know why she was leaving? Particular reason?
She's taking another position in nearby library, which will be something that will utilize her talents.
The next bullet point is parking issues, and this is a little bit storied. There's a couple different elements to this. Well,
Yeah. So what this is basically about is historically over the summer, we've had challenges with the parking here at the library due to increased activities in our programming at the rec center, local businesses using our parking lot, who have been spoken to in the past, and it's kind of been kind of go around and around, with it. We do have a couple of signs at the end of the parking lot that says it's for library patrons only, which are completely ignored. We have some neighbors that have rental properties, apartments, or space above their garages and stuff like that. They rent out where their tenants have parked in our parking lot. So this is kind of coming from my first day back from ALA and my vacation that Monday, between the parking for the rec department participation as well as the yoga studio and other random people parking. Once the staff were in, literally, there was only 4 spots. And that was the situation until like close to 1 in the afternoon. So we've, Ms. Hawley has spoken to the person who's in charge of the program at the rec center, in regards to the employees working there, who are parking over there and trying to come up with solutions, and it is a good problem. That's the bottom line, is it is a good problem. However, we are ourselves getting complaints from patrons who are unable to attend our programs because of this. The library lot is specifically that it is the library parking lot. It is not a municipal lot. And for businesses to utilize the parking is actually a zoning issue. Basically, businesses being zoned in areas that cannot meet the needs of said business due to lack of parking and so forth. So I have spoken to the facilities director as well as the police chief. And so my ask for the board is about, and this has been something that's been talked about before, but having posted signs, for library parking only, vehicles will be towed at owner's expense, and so forth. And, along those lines, and with enforcement by the police department. In the past, there wasn't support to do that due to staffing levels in the department and so forth. But it has become, and literally, like, I have seen on the camera the parking situation when there is the pickups and so forth, and it almost looks like a demolition derby. And I would not want to be walking in that parking lot at that time. But like I said, it is it is a problem, but it's a good problem. We are both, both us and the rec department are centers of activity, and, we bring a lot of community members in, but something has to give, because this has been a long-term issue. So whether it's a case of step 1, we try these signs and see if it resolves anything, because that's like the easiest fix. The next thing is actually taking an assessment of the library property and seeing, is there any place that would be conducive to expand the parking lot. The only one issue with the expansion of the parking lot is then we have to think about future maintenance. So if the lot is bigger, that means bigger lot to have it plowed. It means, if there are additional sidewalks added, for walking, those will have to be shoveled. So those may become factors, moving forward. But I think if there's a way that we can incorporate a solution for what was going on now, plus also if we were to provide parking, then we could give more parking for the Adams Center.
So is there anything where, like, if we change the layout of the parking lot, like right now we're grandfathered in, but if we change the parking lot, we'd have to add like more sidewalks or something like that?
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that. I can check. But my thought is that obviously, like, if we were going to, put parking in the front of the library or whatever, then we would have to have a walkway that led back to the existing sidewalk and stuff. But I can, get into that, but I think that might be a future thing, and just focus in on like the signs right now, but I'm just trying to put it out, paint the picture.
I think signage is probably it's the only thing that we can do short term.
Correct.
That might make a difference, but also just knowing this when we go into the camp season for next year, if we could just have a discussion with whoever runs the camp at rec about when they have orientation or training for their counselors, maybe to mention that where they park, where they leave their vehicles, because we can't have every camp counselor leave their vehicles. And they hire, quite a few, and most of them can drive. So
They have to know the threats are real.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously.
I like the idea of the signage, because not only does it sort of, give us an out in terms of messaging, but I feel like there's also some protection there on the liability side of things. Like, my first thing when I think of people from or taking advantage of other organizations' programs using our parking lot, what comes to mind for me first, because I'm a pessimist, is like slip and falls. and people getting hurt on our property, if we can reduce the liability there, I think that's another way, it sort of kills two birds with one stone, which I like. There's that aspect, and then also just the messaging like you talked about.
And this has been a problem historically when, I don't know if any of you remember when there was a preschool across the street, but then our parking lot was used for pickup. Well, the entire year that preschool was in session, because for drop off and pickup, they would be in the parking lot. Now it's the yoga studio, so it's all adults and it is not as frequent.
full hour.
But they still use the parking lot, yes. And we've had the discussion with the business owner before, so this will just be a reminder for them. And this has been an ongoing issue with rec camp, but as Donald says, it's one of those things where you're like, it's great that people are utilizing these town programs, and certainly like that's a positive, but when it does jam up the entire parking lot for when the library opens at 10 and for when all the parents come for pickup around noontime, then it's not the best. So we'll have to figure something out. So would you like a motion from us for signage?
Correct.
Would anyone like?
I move that we approve the addition of signage in the parking lot
I
to
second
delineate
that.
it for library parking.
Seconded.
So all in favor, and again, since we're voting on this as well, we have to do that. Roll call.
Andrew Koska, aye.
Matt Donahue, aye.
Emily Bruce, I.
Jen Quackenbush, I.
Emily Curtin, aye.
Lee Lewis, I.
There you have it, Donald. Signs. So now we're into the director's report.
Before,
Oh, yeah.
is there anything we can do about like adding street parking? I assume the answer to that is no. Because especially with like the yoga studio.
Legal to.
I mean,
park on the
you
street.
can park on the street, it's just that
I think
people.
you know. Some,
And I think
Yeah,
people
but
get
the other
nervous about their cars being on the street versus being
Yeah.
tucked.
I mean,
It's
well,
less about the lawn. Modify the sidewalk. Have a little more room so that cars can park there with a little more confidence, and then that might reduce some of the usage of our lot as well. Also, would be overflow parking for us if needed.
mhm.
What about parking on a side street, like at the end of our parking lot, that I don't know what the name of the street is? But is that allowable to park there?
Well, people have, that specific day that Monday I came in, they
Because there's
were,
overflow, so all the
yeah,
people-
like they all,
Make a difference to say, tell people who are trying to park in our lot, no, you can go park on Cross Street. I mean, that's even possible, but to kind of divert people out of the parking lot.
well, I mean, we can give them the options. Some of the, issues are, patrons with mobility issues having to do that, whereas more able-bodied individuals that are working a shift, are, closer parked than.
I mean, I think we missed the window this year, but as long as we're clear next year about where to park.
Yeah,
if you
and I
wanna be
do
at the
think that,
camp.
and we definitely would have to do a feasibility study to see what would be the best, solution. I mean, one of my thoughts has to piggyback on your liability and seeing the parking lot with the activity it's been and seeing like some close calls was, so this Thursday I have a safety committee meeting, and I'm actually going to ask the insurer, is there any potential for the town to assume any liability should there be an accident in our parking lot with a pedestrian, because our parking lot is designed that you have to walk through the parking lot to access us. There is not a direct sidewalk, so there isn't. So on the Green Street side, yes, there is a sidewalk on the street, but there aren't any cutouts that would allow you to walk to that sidewalk and then come around. And then on this opposite side of the property, there isn't one. You just basically get out and walk down. So that is a question that I'm going to ask her. Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Especially with cars getting taller.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So one of my thoughts for a future thing was to basically kind of cut down the embankments that we have on both sides of the parking lot so that some type of sidewalk can be put in. You know, but then, like I said, it will require future maintenance and
Right.
stuff like that.
I would say for the record, that's an awesome idea on my part. I can't speak for the board, but I can speak for me. That's how it's. Wow.
A lot of it for me depends on like what they say for liability, because we're incurring this extra cost with marginal benefit.
Yeah,
But again, it's what they say. If they say liability, then okay, no, it's not marginal benefit.
Yeah.
It's significant.
my report, that was it. Okay. All right. So my report was a little late this time around due to the fact that I was on vacation for part of it, as well as at the ALA conference in Philadelphia for a week. As part of my report, I did include a list of some of the seminars and discussions that I had attended, as well as a list of vendors that I had extensive interaction with for possible use for educational databases to purchase, as well as some technology vendors. And for example, there's one History Makers, they do oral history recording, and I had spoken to them about our situation with the story banks as an alternative, and so there's potential there for that. It is the end of the fiscal year, so we are running around getting all of that done. I have begun working the fiscal 27 budget support documentation for FinCom as well as the Board of Selectmen. And what I am doing with this is basically giving real life examples of the breakdown of our budget. So for example, to give an indication, to show as I put in the statistics, the usage and the expense for Hoopla, for example. So that's one of our, digital streaming services, and to give real-time examples and see this is where the money's going. To give them more of the facts and, not just necessarily the figures, but just to try to educate them and understand our budget more, and not just say, oh, we need this for certification, but you don't know how we spend our money, and to just be completely transparent and see where everything goes. Let's see. I've been working on some summer reading programs. We did have a game night this past Friday, as well as we have an upcoming trivia night this Friday here. We had a few attendees. They were new to library programming, so that was nice for that. I've begun working on the ARIS report, which is the state report of data collection for the prior fiscal year. So I have to put in information like, how many staff members we have, what are their salary ranges, how many books do we own, how many adult books do we own, how many children's books do we own, how many children's books got checked out, how many magazine subscriptions we have, all that sort of data, database usage and things. And it is basically a compiling of information from varied sources. So it is, kind of like tax season in a way. Yeah. I mean, it's actually one of the few things it's like the real library work I love, but at the same time, it drives me crazy. Wrote an article for the Kingston Living magazine. Let's see. As far as facilities, we did have some rain that hopefully if we do a future parking lot, change, this may be something to keep in mind as well. So basically what ends up happening is that with heavy rains, the curbing that has been recently painted yellow it's supposed to direct it to the basin, but with the heavy rains, it just kind of floods right over. So in recent months, we've had 2 occasions where the the metal drain that is at the entrance of the library basically was overworked, and water infiltrated the vestibule, the front lobby area, resulting in water getting partially into the teen room as well as behind the circ desk. And so this has happened over years past, but it was not as frequent. This is really the second time that it's happened so quickly. Facilities did come and they did have the cleaners treated and clean it up and stuff, but it is something that we should definitely think about, as part of that parking lot project to try, whether it's a regrading or what have you, to resolve that issue. And then also the statistical reports. The only thing I will really, touch upon that is the end of the year report. So I included, normally we do, this month versus last month, year to date, but I did also include the full fiscal year, which ended with the library, Kingston being up 4.08%, which fiscal 24, we had circulation of 127,000 items, and this year we had 132,000 items. And if you look at those percentages, Kingston had the highest increased percentage over the prior year for any public library.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you,
awesome.
thank you. The staff has worked hard and, done their best to select materials that people love. So once again, we've excelled with that. I've also begun, heavily investing in overdrive to meet that need, so that in the coming years, the assessment from OCLN will not be as impactful as it potentially could be if we remain on the path that we've been. And I will take any questions.
Can I interject for 1 second?
Sure.
I also want to mention that with all of these reports and information that Donald sent, he also sent his self-evaluation, which for the board members who have been here this last fiscal year, we will be getting the template to do our own evaluation. So that will be Lee, Matt, Jen, and myself. And they are due back to me. I'll have the due date on there, but it's a week before our next meeting, just so I can compile our thoughts and present them to Donald. The way that we do it is we'll have an executive session where we will present the report to Donald. And then if he has any questions or feedback, then we take care of it at that time. And then we open the regular meeting after that executive session. And then obviously, since you just joined the board, I don't expect you to be putting out a thorough evaluation of Donald's performance for this past year. So this is just observation this first go around, and then next year.
That's fine.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Donald about his report or his time spent at the conference? Where he brought back great pen and some.
Oh, yes, I loaded up. I got 24, the vendors, I got 24 reusable bags, I got pins, I got t-shirts, I got all sorts of stuff. I will give you a bit of advice if you should travel to a city and try to use a third-party app for parking. Be careful of their GPS because they may take you to the wrong parking lots.
Oh, no.
And you may
Sounds
end
like
up
that happened to you. Where was the conference?
in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, so it literally, I was on the main street, take a left onto Wood Street, and I'm watching the navigation in the net app. And as soon as you've arrived, turn here. I followed the whole thing. And I thought, okay, I'll go to the conference, come out, and then there's a $63 ticket on my car. So, because basically the other garage was right next door. And so it confused the navigation. So that's my little tidbit. There were some, the vendors were really good. There is one vendor that I'm still trying to track down, which was the one from the Franklin schools, the library media
Yes.
specialist, who came up with a database that was fabulous. And I'm trying to find his business card because I think it's free. So it's something we would use for readers advisory for teens. But there were some awesome vendors that Some of them are existing ones that we've already used. Others, were new. And it was actually funny because one vendor that I was talking to, which was it was Book Browse, it was about book clubs and related services. And I'm chatting away. He noticed my badge and he actually lives in Plymouth. So, so that was kind of funny.
Small world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, but in all that, I only ran into one librarian that I knew. So
That's surprising.
that was very surprising, very surprising. So, but it was a very good conference. They did great topics that were presented. And there definitely was an air of, advocacy that will be, a strong,
Necessary.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I was reading your report with the everyone get ready to fight for your right workshop. Looks like it was interesting.
Yes,
Hope we learned some good things.
yes, absolutely.
Something we shouldn't have to do, but here we are.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful that they provided so many
Yeah.
opportunities to learn and engage and like they're, not that they wouldn't talk about it, because that's where else can you really talk about it, but that they're taking it head on. It's been-
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
that way.
Absolutely.
And then after the director's report or staff reports, does anyone have any questions about the staff reports or comments? Right, not seeing any. The Foundation and Friends update is usually given by the head of the foundation, but Jess Fitzgerald let me know that she was unable to attend this evening, so I do have her information. At their last meeting, they also reorganized, and so now Jess will be serving as their president. Vice president is Kimberly Sprague. The treasurer is remaining Chip Schlansker, and the secretary is Jenna Judge. What they're focusing on right now is the library. If you've seen any of their social media, they're in the process of just shout outs to all of the breweries who have agreed to attend and participate, and also for their sponsors. And that's what their big focus is. And I don't believe they have a July meeting. They're meeting again in August. Or do they have a meeting? in
They have a
July?
meeting tonight
It's tonight, after this.
after this.
I thought you were getting to leave early, I'm sorry. So any questions about foundation business? Not seeing any. We don't have a bill to pay, so. We will when our new treasurer gets bonded, but we don't have one now. Anything under old business?
Yes. So in case you missed it, Eversource has installed the big green box at the end of the parking lot. The design that we were given wasn't exactly looking like that. And so the town administrator is helping us by one of the requests that the trustees had at that time was to have arborvitaes planted around it, so that it would be able to those would visually block it, so it wouldn't be as sightly. And the design of it being that the one side of it is basically on the very edge of the raised grass area, that obviously there's no way to plant arborvitaes unless we're going through the parking lot asphalt. And it was something that there has been no communication. So I think it was going to be 2 years this October.
I was gonna say, if I could again interrupt, cut you off, but just to give some background. I think Jen and I were maybe the only two remaining members who were here when they originally came and made the presentation. And the individual who was to be our point person was very enthusiastic and did indeed say that they would give us some sort of visual camouflage so that we wouldn't be staring at that box. And we hesitantly agreed to, well, if it has to go there and it makes sense for the town for it to be there, then it would be great if it did have that visual camouflage. Also, we didn't want it to be an attractive nuisance sitting there just right out there in the open. We promptly lost that point person, I think, within a month. Never was reassigned another point person. And as Donald had mentioned, then the project that was supposed to be happening, I mean, they were pushing for it to happen in like a 2-month turnaround is now going on years.
Correct,
So
correct.
this is where
We
we're
might just have a big ugly box.
at. So the chances, I mean, ideally, we will get something around it.
Yes,
So that it isn't, my biggest concern is that it is an attractive nuisance. It's people curious about what it is and may go near it. I just would rather not take on that liability as well.
Yeah, especially kids.
Yep.
I mean, one would assume they would have the liability.
Yes,
Again,
I
now
don't-
that- now you're asking about-
and the
I'm not
thing,
trying to
the thing.
encourage
Yeah.
And the thing about this box, just to give a little more detail about the past, was that there is a similar box on a street that I don't remember the name, that during many storms gets waterlogged and folks get lose power. So the idea was strategically that that was the best location in this area to ensure that folks will maintain having electricity during the winter months.
And that's what sold me on it, because I lose my power. And whenever there's a strong wind. So.
Might actually be additional incentive for the town to handle like water management a little better.
Oh, also under old business, I need a date for a luncheon for the staff here. You don't have to give it to me this moment.
Okay.
I'll touch base with you later, but just because normally there's one held in the summer, so I want to make sure that happens before school starts again.
Okay.
And also under old business, just to reiterate the August meeting date, it is Monday, the 18th, and it will be 6 o'clock here in this space.
I will not be able to attend. I have Red Sox tickets.
Well, I guess that's okay. You can just zoom in from the game.
It's a 7 game, so I hope it's good.
You'll have to determine whether it's worth zooming in, depending if it's in an up time of the season or a down time of the season. But a lot of both.
Let's see. I don't know if anyone's been following them. They have been wild this year.
Yes.
Got a lot going on.
Any other old business? Not seeing
Emily-
any. Oh,
Emily,
yes.
do we need to meet early on the August meeting in order to do, finish Donald's evaluation? Is that when we'll do that?
Yes, I think I'll have the executive session start at 6 and then our regular meeting 6:15. All that really means for us, we'll still arrive here for a 6 o'clock start, but we won't record until after the executive session.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like a 5:30 start.
No.
That's fine. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Any new business?
The only new business that I'm going to mention is that I did receive a voicemail on Friday and then a follow-up email today. I've been invited to meet with the Plymouth Rotary next Monday for lunch at Alden Pond.
Alden Park.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Nice place.
yeah.
They're
And-
wooing you?
Huh?
They're
Yeah.
wooing you?
Whining and dining.
I know, it says.
Suspicious.
Let's send me in your place.
I've always found Alden Park to be a great place to bring your mistress. That's actually they kind of like gives off, so I'm like, oh, all right.
So,
This is a public meeting. I'm not gonna lie.
so yeah, so I, obviously said that I would attend. So yeah, so it will be the first time that I've interacted with them since I've been here. And I do believe that it's been a while since there has been support from them.
Not that I can recall in my tenure, and I think you mentioned this.
Jen, who wasn't in that day, she said that they historically have given money in some capacity, but not necessarily a targeted, for a targeted project or something like that. So, but yeah, just want to give you guys that info.
That's exciting.
There isn't a Kingston area, is there? Or is,
I don't
Think so.
believe so.
I've never heard
yeah,
of
I'm not aware.
We have like a Lions Club?
it.
I thought we had like
I
a
know this, but I don't, but beyond that, I don't know.
thought there was something under 3A. That might be in.
Hmm.
Oh, I know the building you're talking
the
about.
graphic building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like,
They sold it.
might be that or American Legion or something. It is for sale, but I think it was
Yeah.
like an American Legion. I drive by this building literally every day and I don't remember exactly. I still don't feel bad.
8 years now.
Yeah.
So I live down the street from
Yeah.
Any other new business? Not seeing any, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:43 PM.
it. Second.
All right, all in favor? I don't believe we need to do a roll call for this. All in favor? Aye.
All
Great.
opposed?
Thank you, Lee.